I find that to be an increasing appetite. I actually find the career of Joe Rogan to be the best example of that market.
Yeah, and this worked very well for Trump and Vance in 2024, because if you go on a podcast that's 3 hours long and there's no preconditions, you're really saying, all right, I'm going to be vulnerable, because you can't tap dance for 3 hours. You can get through a segment on a new show very quickly, they're going to commercial, but that's why Officer Harris was like, Rogan, come to me, and you'll have, 30 minutes, and I'm going to tell you what you could talk about, because she's an empty suit. She would not be able to stand up that scrutiny for 3 hours. In fact, I recently got pitched, as a podcast host, the Democrats got the memo, and some organization is pitching different people to different, outlets, and they pitched me Jasmine Crockett, and I've never said yes faster. I doubt it's going to happen, but man, I would love to sit down with her for an hour.
Why do you keep calling her Officer Harris? Because of her role as Attorney General? Yeah, it was twice that he said it, and I was like, okay, I'm picking it up. I'm not, and I can do the math, but I've never heard it before. Officer Harris. Okay, Jasmine Crockett on your show.
I would love that. I would love nothing more. Wouldn't you not love that?
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
You just a moment ago said to me that you don't believe there is a future for this dialogue. And by the way, that's, again, I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but it's not a conclusion that I want.
Sure.
I have not only enjoyed, but in many parts of my career, succeeded based upon the exchange of ideas.
Sure.
Debates on First Take on ESPN, debates on CNN. Even today on my shows, I like to welcome in those who have a disagreement with me. But you say you don't see the utility in that conversation.
Right.
Why?
Well, because I think Jasmine Crockett is like a WWE performer. She is not, ratchet. She's highly educated, comes from a bougie background. She's a performer. She does it very well. Her job is to get conservatives riled up, and she does this super.
So to be clear, your goal, and the reason you'd be excited, I'm trying to tie together what you said earlier with this, is that you wouldn't be seeking honest disagreement.
Oh, no, not at all. I want to see the show. Yeah, she's puts on a great show. You guys talk about her all the time for the good reason, right? There's few other people in the Democratic Party who know how to pull that Jerry Springer energy and get people all riled up at home. She's a heel. And Republicans have their own heels who get Democrats all riled up. Trump, the amount of outrage the Democrats get out of this president had highly educated professional women walking around with pussies on their head and holding signs that says, "This pussy grabs back," something that makes no sense. And they did this proudly. He made them crazy. And I think Jasmine Crockett does that to some extent with conservatives. But again, I don't think with any politician, if I have them on my show, there's going to be any honest dialogue, because they are there to seek power, to present their point of view. I don't even know how much a position they are to speak truth, because at the end of the day, they're still beholden to the House majority or the Senate leadership. So they don't really have as much independence as they would like, except for a few of them. So I very rarely like talking to politicians.
So, but your point is that it would be not useful, but entertaining.
Correct. Yes.
So let me give you an example.
But can I ask a question for you? Like, when you watch these House and Senate hearings and they have someone hauled up in front of the House or the Senate, and the senators and the House members just yell at them, that's not a dialogue. Totally. It's a show. It's performative from both sides.
Well, let me ask you a question response. What do you think about the debates on the halls of Parliament? Do you find those more useful, or are they simply WWE?
They're clearly WWE. For people who don't know, the Prime Minister in the UK and members of the cabinet have to get in front of the floor of the House of Parliament, and the opposing parties stand up and just say the worst thing. They'll be like, "Well, since you're so terrible and everyone hates you, and your show is going to be canceled
it literally
next
looks
week,
like WWE.
Can I get you a room that you might need and give you some food for your family next week?"
Right.
It's really that bad.
It's really entertaining.
Yes, it is.
So here's a okay, I'm going to give you this. So a few months ago, I had on this one that I referenced, James Tallarico. And it was a perfectly cordial conversation.
Sure.
Wherein we had a bit of debate. He immediately went to social media afterwards and lied about the nature of the conversation. He asked me a question, and I bailed out. He said, "Producers in my ear," and I refused to answer the question. It went viral on the left, like Fox News runs away in the middle of an interview from. So, and then I responded on social media about the nature of his lies. This guy, by the way, goes to seminary. So not only is he a politician, but a self-styled moralist as well. And so I think he's going to be back on my show this week.
Oh, that's great.
In person. Is it great?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking you. You know, because it is a debate for me. I will be sitting down with someone that I know to be inherently dishonest.
Right.
His track record has proven it.
Sure.
What do I get out of that conversation?
Vengeance? Closure? I mean, you're not like me. You're not bloodthirsty, right? But you are someone who's a family man. You have integrity. You have morals, right? So I think you were very clearly open with, like, here's what you said. Here's the clip. Can you explain this discrepancy?
Right.
And also, if you felt I treated you unfairly, which is possible, why didn't you say something to me and give me an opportunity as men to make it right instead of going public and flipping out about it? Why are you assuming, casting the worst aspersions and not giving me the benefit of the doubt? Because I gave you the benefit of the doubt having my show and letting you speak.
Right.
That's the tack I would take.
Vengeance.
Yes.
Closure.
Yes. Am I wrong, though?
No, it's going to happen.
Right.
I believe he'll be on the Will.
And he's also going to go on social media and say...
Lie again.
Lie again.
Are you going to do this again?
Right, yeah. No, you know what you do? Before he leaves, you make sure the last question, my unsolicited advice to you, in your opinion, sir, have I done anything untoward to you in this interview or not let you speak? So if you have him on record saying that, it's really going to box him in what he says after the fact.
Explain to me how you view the future of America if there is no honest disagreement and there is no conversation to be had with the other side. What does that look like?
It looks like victory. Because there's I'll tell you in a second, there's many points of view that have been completely purged from American culture. No one is standing up and saying, you know what, let's bring slavery back, right? No one is saying that women should not be allowed to have jobs. No one is saying that there's certain things that are just like ridiculous. It's not going to happen, right? So I think there's large aspects of leftism which are long overdue to be destroyed. And I think there is an increasing appetite among right-thinking people that this has to happen, including many people on the left who are like, this is counterproductive for us. This is making us look like buffoons and widely hated, and it's not helping anyone in any way. So that is something I'm looking forward to enormously.
Okay.
So there could be
I want you to describe the victory. What points of view from the left, it may be easier to say which ones survive, but what points of view should be retired in the same way we've retired a debate over slavery?
Oh, boy. Oh, that's a great question, sir. I would say the biggest ones are the nature of government as a mechanism of solving social problems.
Oh, good luck. I mean, that victory is elusive.
Sure. All victories are elusive until they happen, then they're regarded as inevitable, right? If you look in the 80s, the Soviet Union's going to be around forever. Reagan, you're crazy. Thatcher, you're crazy. Gorbachev's not going to change anything. In 1991, it was going to happen anyway. So this always ends up looking inevitable. That's a big one. A big one is this idea that this egalitarianism should be sought in every field is insane and not historically part of leftism. The idea that, like, if you have a career and it's not 50% males, 50% females, somehow it's wrong. This is something that could be discarded. So these are kind of low-hanging fruit. The idea that just because something should be free speech, that there's no downside to it, like pornography, that's something that Tipper Gore was fighting against, not that long ago. So these are things where I think this kind of valorization of sexuality without any concept of, there's a downside to this kind of stuff, and kids should be aware of it. Not kids, but young people should be aware of it. These are all things that I think 5 minutes and open borders. Like Bernie Sanders was against it. Joe Biden was against it. This is something that leftists, if they had the opportunities, many of them would be happy to run on in order to get electoral victory like they did in the 90s.
Okay, so I heard what you had to say, and I thought of it essentially into three categories. The assumption moving forward in America that America is a nation state, and that nation state must be preserved. That ties into open borders.
That's right.
The foundation of America as rooted in traditional culture and values.
That's right.
That is a rejection of the sexual mores and the quite honestly, amoral behavior adopted over the past half a century as popularized in America, meaning literally weaving its way through every aspect of American popular culture.
And also claiming there's no downside, it's all upside. It's insane.
And then finally, the third category, which you kind of suggest maybe it's possible what victory would be described as going forward, is to stop looking for the government to solve all problems and to micromanage everything, including the percentage of the workforce assigned to any particular gender or race.
That's right.
Okay. If that were accomplished, if you and I were sitting here in 20 years because to your point of the Soviet Union, sometimes it happens very quickly.
Okay.
If you looked back on this period of American history,
Right.
how would it be described? What was it that was vanquished? What was it that was retired?
I think if that really were to happen, which I'm not holding my breath, and I know you aren't either, I think it would be regarded as Trump was the big transformative figure.
But
because
how would we describe that moment in American history? That moment of, we've had various moments. We've had literal communist movements in the United States. We have had libertine moments.
Sure.
We have had the era of slavery, to your point.
I can answer you. I know. You know what we call it?
What do we call this moment we've been living?
You know what we call it? We call it the American moment. We call it the American moment. We call it the moment where America was almost on her knees, where violence was advocated freely, when people looked like they couldn't come together, and then you had this recoalescing of Americanism against forces that are inherently in some ways un-American.
Do you think it gets worse before it could possibly get better into that American moment?
There's no way it's not going to get worse, in my opinion, in the near term.
What does that look like?
I don't know, but it's you know how.
In other words, this violence, which seems to be a turning point, I'm not sure it's singular.
We are watching in real time Luigi Mangione being made into a leftist influencer. You saw Hassan Piker advocating for violence. There's no consequences. So until there's consequences, people and they have benefits, people are going to continue doing what they do. The difference between the right and the left is the right understands human beings respond to incentives, right? And if there's a big benefit and there's no cost to you, a lot of people are going to do it. So I'm concerned what's going to happen with Luigi. That's a big thing, I think, bubbling under. It was Walter Curran who had that first observation that they're turning him into like a modern day like Che figure.
Yeah.
You see it right before our own eyes.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd ever placed that much significance on Luigi. I did see a clip of Bill Burr, the comedian, screaming "Free Luigi."
Was he really?
Yeah.
Well, he's gone totally
on the Late Show with Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, I wish I didn't know that. That's very unfortunate to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also like, what did it accomplish? It's not like that CEO was like the lone wolf who's, evilly keeping benefits from people. If there's a systemic problem in the insurance industry, which we could have that argument, and I think it's a very fair one to have, this didn't resolve that problem. It didn't move that needle at all. So what is the utility, even in their terms?
I'm still just thinking about what are the consequences necessary for this to stop, and if it continues, what is that bottom before we make the turn into what you describe as victory?
I don't know. It's not going to be nice, and I don't think either of us want to see it. But then, no one watching this wanted to see COVID happen, and I don't mean COVID the disease. I mean COVID the response. And that was, I think, looking back in 20 years, we're going to tell kids what it was like, and they're not going to find it believable. You stood 6 feet apart for no reason. Why?
Does this administration have the power to impose consequences to avoid this thing bottoming it out further?
No, I don't think so, because I think it's bigger than the administration, and I think it comes culturally. And at the end of the day, you and I both want the federal government to be limited its powers. The federal government can't be an octopus with its tentacles and everything. So when you have 350 million people, and if 1% of them are violently crazy, which is not a high percentage, there's only so much you can do, and it falls on all of us to be responsible citizens and advocate for peace and truth and liberty.
Really good stuff, as always. You can check him out on You're Welcome. That's his show. Newest book is The White Pill. Yes?
Yes.
Newest book is The White Pill. By the way, you're an optimist.
I'm hopeful, not optimistic. It's not the same.
Okay, and the reason I ask you that, The White Pill, there is another dark path as well.
Oh, yes.
And that dark path is the response of the right to a left that they feel like has been lost and resorted to violence. And that path to the right, we'll be real, does involve potential authoritarianism or just simply responsive violence.
We saw with the Patriot Act. And the Patriot Act, you imagine the Patriot Act on steroids. I mean, there's a lot of people who would want that right now. In the same way with COVID, people are like, I have nothing to hide. I have no problem giving up my liberties. There's plenty of people who are like, go read my emails, go read my social media posts. I have nothing to hide. Read everybody's. And then very quickly, what happens when a Hillary Clinton's president?
Right.
Is that really what you want?
Back to the hate speech thing.
Right, of course.
We're hearing from the Attorney General.
Like whatever gun you have, your opponent's going to have it at some point. So be really careful about it.